So, Black Widow, where do I even begin with this one? It's the newest Marvel movie out now. Finally, Natasha Romanoff is getting her own movie after 10 plus years now, I believe. Yeah, when was Iron Man 2? 2010? Yeah, 2010. So 10 plus years now that Natasha has been on screen, and I say finally, because I feel this was a little late. I feel that this was a little out of place in the MCU. The kind of thing we're going off of right now is all about time. You've got Loki and the TVA doing what they're doing. You've got What If coming out, and Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. So the MCU is really about the timeline and time travel right now, and this felt a little out of place, but that doesn't mean it was a bad movie, because it was not. It was great. I loved it. Black Widow isn't really one of my favorite characters in the MCU. I mean, she's great, don't get me wrong, but let's start on the review anyway. So, it starts in Ohio in 1995 when Natasha is a little kid and her sister is even younger, and we find out that there is 1 hour until something goes down. So everybody packs into the car and they go to the airport, where they find their private plane and they fly off to Cuba. And we find out that Dad is a part of a secret organization that you don't know. Well, you come to find out that he is actually part of the Red Room, which trains the Black Widows. So what he does is he gives his daughters to Dragov, and he trains Black Widow, and, you know, we know the story already. He trains her, tortures her, he does a lot of bad things to Natasha. We come to modern day, and this takes place right after Civil War, so the Avengers are still broken up. So she's on her own, that's why she has her own adventure. We also see another woman who is later to be revealed as Yelena, who is, well, that's a spoiler, so I won't say that, but is later revealed to be something else as well when she joins Black Widow's team, or Natasha's team, sorry. She has this spray that if you release it in front of Black Widows, it gets rid of their mind control that Dragov who is believed to be dead at this point, is controlling them with. So with that in mind, Natasha is on her way to Budapest, and she comes across a super soldier who I like to call Blue Helmet, but in reality they're called Taskmaster. And the Taskmaster is a super soldier who wants to stop people from using this spray, or what's later referred to as gas. When she arrives at Budapest, she finds this woman who's named Helena, and she forms an alliance with her, but the audience is led to believe, and this is true, that, if you don't want spoilers, mute, that she is her sister, which that isn't a big spoiler, but if you wanted to avoid, sorry. But they're established right away that the black suit super soldiers are the Black Widows, so they need to free those girls from the mind control, and that's what this movie is all about. And it's also revealed what happened in Budapest, because in Budapest with Clint, yes, Hawkeye himself, Black Widow believed she killed Dragov, which is the leader of the Black Widows, and his daughter. So now they need to find where the Black Widows are being held, and Dragov, so they break a man named Red Guardian out of prison. So they go to Red Guardian's house, which is there also is a woman there named Melina, and this is a twist, but she turns them in to the Black Widows. Like, the Black Widows come in their ship or their airplane and take them to their headquarters. But that was a ploy because Melina is revealed to be Black Widow in a Melina mask, and Black Widow is revealed to be Melina in a Black Widow mask. So that's not really believable, but it's a Marvel movie, so nothing is really believable. It's all about superheroes, let's be honest. This is spoiler talk, so if you want to avoid spoilers for Black Widow, go to this time marker on the screen. And yeah, let's go into it in 3, 2, 1. So the Taskmaster is revealed to be Dreykov's daughter, who everyone believes is dead because Black Widow killed her in an attempt to kill Dreykov back in Budapest. And I forgot to talk about this. There's a scene where they go into a little convenience store. Yelena and Natasha. And Yelena's talking about the Avengers and how they pose, like when they hit the ground, they pose like this, which is really funny. But what's even funnier is that when they're fighting, Yelena's in like a vent, and she takes the vent and goes and drops down and then does that pose, and then she gets up and goes and just just walks away. It's one of the, that's what I like about the new Marvel movies. In like Iron Man to like Thor, I guess. Not really Thor even. I guess Guardians of the Galaxy. Up until then, they were really serious. Except Avengers some points. But up until Guardians, they were really serious. And then Guardians just kind of broke that, and ever since they've been kind of like comedy movies, but like action in them too. It's a good blend.
I get first crack at the big guy. Iron Man's the one he's waiting for.
That's true. He hates you the most.
So anyway, their mission is successful because they do free the Black Widows, because they attach the gas to a bomb and throw it, and then the gas explodes and goes everywhere in the room. And by this point, Dreykov is trying to escape, and the Black Widows are all in a room trying to literally kill Natasha, and Yelena throws the bomb and the thing explodes and all the Black Widows are saved. And also transferring the files from the ship's computer, or the airplane, or whatever you want to call it, computer, to a thumb drive that Natasha needs is also successful because the ship is literally about to explode. Meanwhile, the Dreykov, the guy who runs all of this, is trying to escape, except Yelena takes her stick and jams it into the airplane's motor, and the airplane explodes, killing everyone inside, including Dreykov. But Yelena's in great danger now because she's about to die, except Natasha saves her, and everything is well on the ground, except the super soldier Taskmaster is still alive. So we have a fight scene, which we haven't gotten one of those in quite a while, since Falcon and Winter Soldier, except the Loki one. But yeah, I mean, it was I think this one, the Black Widow, was a return to true Marvel. Because I'm not saying that, you know, Endgame or Falcon and Winter Soldier or Loki is bad, because they're not. They're great movies. Endgame is my favorite Marvel movie of all time. So, well, that's not really true. Second, it's my highest ranked, like, for 1 out of 10. But I do believe that this is a return to Marvel form, because I personally hated WandaVision. Falcon and Winter Soldier was okay, but it didn't have... It was missing something that didn't make it a return to Marvel. And Loki... it really is a great series, but it's out there, man. You gotta have a big brain to understand Loki. You have to have a big brain to understand Marvel in the first place. But I found myself going, okay, who's that? That has to be connected to something. Who's that? That has to be connected to something later on. Like, an example, in the beginning of the movie, they play American Pie, and they tell the sister that it's her song. And then later, I forgot to mention this. Later, Red Guardian is singing American Pie to the sister, and that signals that Red Guardian is the father to Yelena and Black Widow. And it's also revealed that Melina, Red Guardian's wife, is the mother to Black Widow, or Natasha and Yelena. So just things like that is what really makes Marvel special in my eyes. So anyway, after that, the Taskmaster, they fight, and luckily, Natasha has some gas left. So, he sprays her with it, and she becomes normal. She isn't under the trance anymore, so we don't really see what happens with Taskmaster, which is disappointing, because I hate when movies don't clear up things. But I get, it's a 2-hour movie, you could have cut some stuff up just to put that little detail in with Taskmaster, but other than that, fine. So, the post-credit scene, I've seen a lot of people not like this for some reason. I thought it was good, because the post-credit scenes usually lead into something else, and this is exactly what it did, because it was touching memorial to Natasha, because Yelena went to the gravesite of Natasha, but there's also a person sitting next to her. And that person is Valentina from Falcon and Winter Soldier, and she gives Yelena a new assignment to go hunt Hawkeye, which leads into Hawkeye, the Disney Plus series, which I believe is coming out right after What If. So welcome back, people who didn't want spoilers. I'm going to tell my overall thoughts of Black Widow. So I mentioned before that I thought it was a little bit off, the way the MCU is going now. But that's not their fault, because the literal global pandemic that shut down the movie industry, so I'm not blaming them. I'm not making, I'm not saying that, oh, because the pandemic, they couldn't get that out, so that's Marvel's fault. It's not. I understand that. So they literally couldn't do that. But they could have put this out right after Civil War, and I wish that's what they have done. But I also don't, because then the post-credit scene wouldn't be the final button on Natasha's story. So there's pros and cons for the release date itself, but overall, that I'm thinking about it, I'm glad that it was released now because of that post-credit scene. And also, one thing that I noticed is that Tony Stark is listed as a character in this. That's not true, because no other Avenger makes an actual appearance besides Black Widow, if I'm remembering correctly. Well, I mean, that's not true, because Clint does make a picture appearance, but other than that, there's nothing. But there's one video from Civil War, but it's Natasha and Clint fighting, so that doesn't really count. But yeah, Tony Stark does not appear in this, even though Robert Downey Jr. was listed in the IMDb and the cast list. He does not make an appearance in this movie. And also, for some reason, Chadwick Boseman was listed under IMDb. He's not in this either. The only mention of Black Panther is when they say the King of T'Challa, or the King of Wakanda was almost killed, because they're referring to when T'Challa fought in the Civil War. So he doesn't appear in it either, except the Taskmaster has each Avenger power, so they do have the Black Widow claws. But other than that, I thought it was a great movie. I definitely recommend it. It was worth the wait for a year, and I woke up early to see it, so I was invested the whole way through. The story was done really, really well. I thought it was a great story. Her backstory. It's not really a backstory, except the very, very beginning, during the credits, the beginning credits. So, if you're coming here wanting a Black Widow backstory, watch the beginning, because the rest of the movie won't pertain to you. But that's not a problem, because we are getting an original story with Natasha, so no problem with me. I actually would prefer it if it was an original story more than, you know, this is Natasha when she was 10 years old and she's training. That would be boring. I like this a lot better than what it was originally reported as. Also, the actors, phenomenal. It also had some comedy moments in it. Like I said before, Yelena, and I didn't say this for non-spoiler people, but Yelena was talking about how she poses whenever she, like, jumps, like, whenever she gets down. She jumps like that. You know what I'm talking about. But, in one scene, Yelena actually does that when she jumps down from a vent, and then she just, like, gets up and shakes her head and walks away. That was pretty funny. But there wasn't a lot of comedy like the normal Avengers Marvel movies, because I said ever since Guardians there's really been that touch of comedy in it, and in this one there wasn't a lot of that. It wasn't, but it wasn't supposed to be a comedy movie, so I get that, but yeah, a lot of action in it, a lot of great action in it, as a matter of fact. But the downfall of that is there's not a lot of other stuff that usually tends to be in a Marvel movie. But if you're an action head, and I do like action, that's why I'm a Marvel fan, I liked that aspect. It was another aspect of Marvel that you don't see, especially around now because they're doing some other stuff besides just look at the explosions, here's the superheroes, here's Iron Man going off of Stark Tower and everything exploding everywhere. It's not, Marvel isn't like that anymore, which is good because they needed to grow. But it is time for my official ranking, and I would give this a 7 out of 10. Because of what I said. It's a lot of action, it's a lot of killer, but there's also some filler because there's not a lot of comedy, like I said before. Usually Marvel movies have some funny stuff in it. But it is a great movie, and I do recommend it. Especially if you're a big Black Widow fan. You're probably already seeing it if you're a big Black Widow fan. But if you're a big Marvel fan too, must see. So 7 out of 10 for me. I hope this review helped you. I hope if you were on the edge about seeing it, this review pushed you to go see it. Be sure to support your theaters. I know my local one, I saw it on Disney Plus Premier Access, which is $30 to see it right now. I didn't go to the theater, but I checked. My theater is running it every 30 minutes in a different theater. So be sure to go see your theater, see it in the theater if you can, because this one is a big one that they're getting into theaters, so they're pushing it and running it any time of the day that you can. So if you are comfortable with that, please do be sure to go get tickets and see it in the theaters. Be sure to like and comment what you thought of Black Widow, and consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me if you did so. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Have a magical day, everybody.